Knock on the Saints door. Quarterback sneak by Tom Brady to the 43-year-old score. He did. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Now spike that ball, Tom Brady. Who says I'm 43? He runs right up the gut and scores 6. 7. Handoff, run the ball. Fournette slashes away to the 40, to the 35, to the 30, to the 30, 25, to the 20. Fournette to the 10, 5, 3, 2, 1. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Run the ball, Leonard Fournette. Wow, what a blast up the gut, found daylight, and outran everybody. Fire the cannons, get them going. Bucs win. Bucs win, Bucs win. Fire them cannons.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Swords Up Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about our Week 8 matchup, Monday Night Football. This was supposed to be our third primetime game of the season, but unfortunately, due to schedule reshuffling, this is our second of 4 primetime games for the year, and it's going to be a Monday Night Football matchup away against the New York Giants. Today I'm going to be talking about the preview to this game, as well as giving a prediction at the end of it. Little side note before I get into the injury report, this is actually already Week 8, and it's only the first game we're wearing our home red uniforms. And then also, this is the first time Tom Brady has played the Giants since Eli Manning retired. And obviously, we know the history with Tom Brady losing those 2 Super Bowls in the 2008 season and also in the 2011 season to the Giants, when the Patriots were heavily favored in both of those. But nonetheless, let's get right into the injury report. And obviously, like I mentioned in my previous video, Chris Godwin sustained a broken finger in last week's game, so he's obviously out. Is probably going to go into next week's game questionable as well, and he could be out for that one as well. But obviously, with Antonio Brown being available next week, it should help. But I'll get into more about the impact of Chris Godwin's injury later. But he is the only player with an injury designation for us going into this game. And on the Giants side, they're going to be without Adrian Colbert, their safety with a shoulder injury, as well as Devontae Freeman with an ankle injury. And Will Hernandez, a starting offensive guard, is going to be out of this game because he's on the COVID-19 list. And then CJ Board, who suffered a concussion in last week's game against the Eagles, is questionable. So now starting on the Giants side of things, I'm going to be highlighting their key player of the game. And obviously they're 1-6 right now. They're not a very good team, sitting last in the horrible NFC East. But, you know, there's some good spots on the team, and especially their defense. They've been playing decently well this season, and especially the key player that I'm going to be highlighting this week, and that's James Bradbury, and he's been quite a free agent acquisition for them, signed this offseason from the Panthers, and has really turned into a shutdown corner so far this year. He's had 25 tackles, 11 passes defended, which leads the league, and also 3 interceptions and 1 forced fumble as his stats for the 2020 season. And he's really locked up a number of receivers, and I'll look at him as an important factor in this game and see if he can lock down Mike Evans or not, as obviously he'll be our number 1 receiver going into this week's game. Now looking at the Buccaneers side of things, now obviously with Chris Godwin out, that's going to increase the role for Scotty Miller this week, and he's had a really good season like I've mentioned in the last video. What's really going to be especially important for him this week is the emergence of Antonio Brown on our offense. This could be the last big game that Scotty Miller has on the team, especially because on the depth chart he could be pushed down to the number 4 receiver. So this could be his last game in the starting lineup, barring any other crazy injuries or other events that lead to Antonio Brown being cut from the team. But Scotty Miller definitely will have that extra motivation going into this week to prove to the coaching staff that he deserves the playing time that he's going to be getting this week later into the season, even with Chris Godwin and Antonio Brown coming back into the team. So far in Scotty Miller's second season, he's had a pretty good one. And he's had 22 catches for 365 yards, averaging 16.6 yards per catch, as well as 2 touchdowns. But now that we've looked at the key players of this week's matchup, I also want to highlight 2 Buccaneers that kind of received a bit of attention last week as a result of their performances, and that's going to be Tom Brady and Devin White. I'll start with Tom Brady because he was named NFC Offensive Player of the Month for October, and he had quite an October month for the team. And also, like I said in last week's video, he has really reemerged and found his old form. And so far this season, he's completed 176 passes on 268 attempts for 1,910 yards, 18 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and none since the Chargers game, which is really important. a 65.7% completion percentage, and a quarterback rating of 102.7, which is really good and, of course, above the league average, which is around in the low 90s to upper 80s. Devin White, on the other hand, was named NFC Defensive Player of the Week for Week 7, which is obviously last week against the Raiders, and I mentioned him as the key player and being the standout leader of our defense, and he's really emerged as one of the top middle linebackers in the league, obviously playing next to another great one in Levante David. But so far, Devin White has really been having a breakout year. And so far in 2020, he's had 61 total tackles, 6 tackles for a loss, 4 sacks, 6 quarterback hits, 1 forced fumble, and 2 passes defended. Has been really all over the field and pretty much doing everything for us. Like even last week when he had 3 sacks, providing a bit of pass rush for our team, but he can also fly around the field and make really important tackles as well. So now that we've looked over at the key players and the stats, obviously it's prediction time. And with the history that we've had against the Giants, I know the last 2 games we've played them close and we've lost both of the last 2 meetings with the Giants. Obviously last time we played them was at home, and that was the heartbreaking loss in week 3 in which Matt Gay missed a 34-yard kick. And before that, it was kind of a blowout game back in 2018 in which Ryan Fitzpatrick started the game and threw 3 interceptions and then was benched for James Winston, who almost led a comeback for us. But yeah, because of that and also because of the history Tom Brady has had playing the Giants, I know it's kind of a long time ago and that may be irrelevant now since he's on a new team, but I just think there's just something about playing the Giants for the Buccaneers that just screams that this is going to be a trap game. And also the Buccaneers are coming off 2 high-flying performances. They're on a roll right now. The Giants are still in it in the NFC East, even though they have 1 win. And you know they're going to be fighting in this one, and they still have a chance in this division. If they win this game, they move ahead of the Cowboys and potentially the Washington football team, considering what happens next week. So this could be a blowout like some people are thinking. I think most people are going to think this is going to be a blowout. But at the same time, don't be surprised if the Giants pull off an upset in this one. But I still think the Buccaneers are going to come away with the win here. I don't think they're going to cover in this one. I think the spread right now is the last time I checked, it was minus 10.5 points. But I think it's moving more in favor of the Buccaneers. So whatever the spread is, I don't necessarily think the Buccaneers are really going to cover here. So I think it'll be a close game, actually. With how the Giants defense has been playing, I don't expect much from the offensive side of the ball. I know I said that against the Raiders, and obviously it turned out to be a pretty high-scoring game for us, but I just don't see it continuing here. But I think the defense will continue their impressive form considering how turnover-prone the Giants are. I think we'll at least get 2 turnovers off of Daniel Jones, who I haven't even mentioned yet in this video. So maybe we'll get an interception and a fumble off of him. I just think it's going to be a close Buccaneer win, but don't be surprised if the Giants end up pulling off the upset. But then again, I could be totally wrong and we blow them out here, which is what I'm hoping. But officially, I'm going to give my score prediction as a 27-20 Buccaneer win. All right, so that's going to be it for this week's matchup preview. Let me know what you think about Monday Night Football in the comments below. I'm recording this a couple hours or so before the game, so hopefully you guys did enjoy Week 8's games, and I will see you guys in the next video, which should be coming out tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching, and go Bucs.